Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the sixth and final recap video of the year of the MLF Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. This tournament was on the St. Lawrence River in upstate New York. If you've never been to upstate New York, it's probably one of my favorite places to fish, to hang out. It's beautiful up there. Got some great fishing between St. Lawrence and Champlain. I just really like it up there. I've been to the St. Lawrence 2 or 3 times over the years, but we've always went out of Clayton, which is down by Lake Ontario. And in those tournaments, I fished in Lake Ontario. So I don't have a whole lot of experience fishing in the river itself, but I do have a few places. So we're going out of Massena this year, which is about 100 miles east of Lake Ontario, to the mouth of Lake Ontario, which we could not fish Lake Ontario, but we could go fish right up to the mouth of Lake Ontario. So I kind of had some, trying to get a game plan on what I was going to do, because 100 miles of river is a lot to even try to cover in 2 days of practice. What I guess did help a little bit was the fact that Canadian water was off limits, so that couldn't go over there. So that did cut down a little bit on the water. So anyways, I figured going into this tournament, I needed probably a top 45 to make the championship. And obviously I want to win the tournament, but really going into it, I was really hoping for a top 45, to try to make the championship. So I had an inkling the tournament would probably be won down by the lake, which, I'm pretty certain it was. So anyways, on day one of practice, I got up really early and I drove like an hour and a half down to Cape Vincent area and put in down there. I had a couple deep holes down there that I fished before. The first spot I went to, I caught a couple almost 3-pounders. And then I started going shallow a little bit. And I never caught anything shallow. I did see one good one. But excuse me. But for me, the shallow smallmouth seems to be a lot better, noonish to in the afternoon if the sun's out. To me, that's when they really get up there and start looking around. And that's, to me, when you can really catch them good up shallow. So anyways, I fished there for about 3 or 4 hours. And I think I only caught those 2. And I decided I was going to put it back on the trailer and I was going to run up about halfway back to Massena and put in there. So I did that, got back on the river. I pulled in kind of a low current area. It wasn't directly in the current. Shallow area, had a lot of boulders, rock, had a little bit of scattered grass. And I hooked like a 5-pounder on a jerk bait. Went a little farther, I picked up a hair jig. I caught a keeper, and then I caught like a 4-pounder on the hair jig. And then from there, I thought, well, I better go fish deep a little bit too. So went out, started fishing, making some drifts, and drifted across this one hump. And, it was about 22 to 25 foot of water, had a little bit of grass on top of it. And when I kind of got that edge of the grass, my drop shot got heavy. I set the hook and I really thought I was hung up. And lo and behold, my drag starts taking off and this great big fish comes jumping out of the water. Get it in, and it's like a 6.5-pounder, or not quite 6.5, 632, I think. The biggest smallmouth I've ever caught. I mean, she was beautiful. So that was fun. But the problem was the only bite I got there, and I made probably 4 or 5 drifts after that, trying, to get another bite somewhere along in there, but I never did. So to me, it's just one of those random single fish that, I must have floated it right by her home rock or something. Then we had a storm come through, and I went and got under a dock for a little while. Came back out, went fishing shallow a little bit more, and pretty much the day was over at that point. I had pretty good weight that day, but when you catch a 6.5-pounder, that really helps that. Then day 2 of practice, I fished up around Messina, or at least I launched up in Messina. And I found this one little current point that, I caught like a 5 and a 4 in 2 casts, and I left. I went over, not too far away to the lock area, and I had 5 or 6 bites over there. Nothing real big, but I did catch like 3.5, 3 3/4. So I was hoping I could maybe, that was the first, pretty much hour of my second practice morning. So I thought, at least maybe between those 2 spots, I could catch a limit real early in the tournament, and then go from there. So I started just working my way technically upriver, towards Waddington and Brockville, and can't remember what the other towns were up through there. And I get some bites here and there, and at the end of the day, I think I had 18 and a half pounds in practice, and but it's kind of random. You drift, and then boom, you just catch one. I never really found them schooled up good on any one spot. So my game plan going into the tournament was to start up near Messina. Hopefully between the first couple places I could catch a limit, and then just go fishing after that, on the other places where I had gotten bites. So day 1 of the tournament, I run to the current point, and there's another boat there. He actually did really good in the tournament. I did watch him catch one there. But to me, it's kind of a one cast deal, the way that current was rolling. So I didn't stay there long, and I ended up going over to the lock area. I caught a limit over there for maybe 10 pounds. I don't know, it wasn't a whole lot. Just never got a good bite there. And then I started working my way, up the river towards Waddington and towards Lake Ontario. And, I really didn't catch very much at all. I don't know. I don't think I caught anything all the way down through there. And I even had a long day on day 1, and with about, 2 hours left, because I really didn't want to go back to the lock area. I mean, I knew there was fish there, but I also kind of maybe wanted to save something for day 2. And, I didn't think there'd be a whole lot of big ones there either. So, but anyway, since I went a long time without a bite, I ended up running back all the way back to the lock, and I did cull 2 or 3 times, and culled up to 12.7, which is lousy for the St. Lawrence River. So that's what I weighed in on day 1. I'm not even sure what that had me in, 100 something place. Pretty lousy day on the water. So I was really bummed about that. So day 2, I had a better boat draw, so I was going to start on the current point. And I thought, if I can pull up there and, catch 2 or 3 good ones real quick, my day could go really good. So I run there first, and I was the first one there. And I fished there for about 10 or 15 minutes and never had a bite. I go over to the lock area, and I catch probably 7 or 8 like little tiny 10 inchers or so. So a barge had just, or a freighter or whatever, had just went through there, and it must have stirred the algae up off the lock walls or something, because it was just different color. It was just weird. So anyways, I left there, and I was pretty disappointed, because I thought, heck, at least maybe I catch a limit there on. And so I started running back down towards Waddington area, fished 3 or 4 places that I had bites in practice, no bites. And at that point, I had a short day, so I think I had 3:15 weigh-in, and 2 hours in the morning, I don't have a fish. So at this point, I pretty much scrapped everything that I had and thought, you know, if there's a way for me to get back in the tournament, catch a 20-pound bag, for me, it wasn't going to be out dragging deep. You know, I like to throw jerk bait, and that's what I decided I was going to go do. So I make about a 30-mile run. I pull in a little place. My first bite is like a 4 1/4. And then I catch like a 2 3/4. Then I actually lost. Well, I didn't really lose him. I had one bite it and had it on for just a second. He pulled off. And then about 5 minutes later, I catch another 2 3/4. And then I kind of make a big lap in and around there. And then actually I break one off. I don't know what happened, if my line got down some rocks or what. So I had 4 at that point. And I thought, well, there's an area that I wanted to go to in practice, but I just never had time to get there. Just kind of a big, a big flat area on the river that had, random islands out through there, and, anywhere from 6 to 10, 11 foot of water. So I thought, I'm gonna run down there, I'm gonna fish around and, see if I can put something together. It took me about 45 minutes to kind of figure out what I was looking for. If there was any exposed rock, I didn't get any bites, but if there's any high spots on my Garmin mapping that did not have exposed rock out of the water, almost every single one of them end up having a fish or two on it. And I caught my 5th one, then I went the next little hump and caught another one. I probably caught 5 or 6. I caught a couple 3-pounders. So I really thought I had 15, 16 pounds, maybe 16 and a half. I wasn't for sure on, because it was pretty windy on day 2, and trying to get a good reading on a scale and choppy waves wasn't very easy. So pretty much that ended up being my day, because I had about a 45, 50-mile run back to weigh-in area, and I thought I gave myself plenty of time that I could fish a little bit once I got back up that way, but with the boats and the wind, it just made it difficult. And by the time I got back up there, I probably had 2 or 3 minutes that I could have stopped on a point. And I was actually going to stop on a point and throw my jerkbait, but then I thought, well, if I hook one, those St. Lawrence River smallmouth are so strong that there's no way I was going to get it in cull in 2 minutes. So I just went ahead back to weigh in, and that was that. I caught 15-13 on day 2, which did move me up. Looking back on the tournament, where I really feel I messed up is my first practice day. And I've struggled with the 2 practice days all year long. I prefer the 3 practice day period, and I've just never learned how to properly practice with a 2-day practice. It's like I try to cover too much of the lake and look at too much stuff, and it's just I can practice good for one day, but then it just one day it seems just like helter skelter. I'm all over the place. And with the 3 practice days, I'd practice 2 days good, and then I'd have that one helter skelter day on day 3 to just check a bunch of random stuff. So that always has worked well for me. So, but with the 2 days, I mean, pretty much one of my days the entire year has been wasted in practice. So where I think I made my mistake on this tournament was, I launched out at Cape Vincent on day 1 of practice, and one of 2 things: either I shouldn't have went down to Cape Vincent, or 2, I should have stayed down there all day. It was a sunny day down there. I know if I would have stayed shallow down there all day, I would have found some stuff. You know, watching some of the live coverage, there are some areas that I was really close to that, you know, had I just spent a little more time down there in practice, I'm certain I would have found some of those places. So that's where I really think I screwed up this tournament. Like I say, overall, it wasn't a bomb. It was kind of just middle of the pack. You know, I ended up 69th in the points for the year. And doing the math, I needed a 45th place finish to make the championship. So I was kind of right on that. I just wish I would have been able to do that. But regardless, I requalified for next year, which is great. You know, and, you know, I couldn't do this without, you know, all my sponsors. You know, Phoenix, Mercury, Garmin, PowerPole, T&H Marine, Denali Rods, MTech Lithium, Bite Me Tackle. You know, without them, they have just, you know, been fantastic to work with. You know, just I haven't hardly had to go to the service trailer at all year long. If I did, it was something really, really minor. You know, again, this is my first year running those MTech lithium batteries, and boy, was I just blown away by, you know, their performance. You know, and how quick they charge every evening to literally power all day on the water, you know, with a 15-hour day on the water. You know, Garmin, the Panoptix is just amazing. Yeah. Which it was a little difficult to see them with the current because those fish get so tight to the bottom on the St. Lawrence. But I was able to see a few fish in practice. You know, PowerPole, this year was the first year I ran the PowerPole charge system, and that was fantastic too. You know, right from my app on my phone, I can tell, you know, how much, you know, how long I've charged, how much I have left in my, you know, tank. It just really, really amazing, you know, and plus, as much as I run around, you know, my battery stay charged all day long. You know, the Mercury, it's just awesome. You know, this is my second year running it, and for me, it's just been bulletproof. It's just been fantastic. You know, I run a 21 PHX Phoenix boat, you know, and love. I'm not certain there's one thing about my Phoenix boat that I would change, and that's saying something because I'm kind of picky about things. But other than that, it was a decent year. I had plenty of opportunities to, you know, do better. You know, the 250 cuts I made, you know, both days I lost places on that third day, which is a little disheartening. You know, and I really wish I would have made the cut at Murray. Granted, what I found at the last, you know, 30 minutes of that tournament. So, you know, I could have had a lot better year than what I did, but, you know, I'm blessed to, you know, finish where I did, and, you know, requalify, and like I say, you know, made enough to be able to go out there and do it again another year. So, anyway, that's going to be the last recap video of the year. It's on to golf and hunting season here before long. I've got a date with a big buck that I missed last year, so hopefully I'll get another shot at him this year. I see I do still have some hats available. You know, just hit me up on Facebook or whatever, and I'll be happy to ship one of those out, $20. Other than that, if you have any other questions, whatever, you know, drop a comment below, and we'll see you next year.